Imagine if the earth took it personal for all the oil you go and drill, for how you want to deforest it, for all the animals you want to hurt, for all the people you want to hurt. Imagine if all those things took it personal. So why is us take one little criticism or something that can be improved so personal? We need to check ourselves.
Well, for starters, the earth doesn't have an ego. The earth is humble.
It's ever given. Problem is the ego gets in play because you don't want to ever give. You want to ever take. So that's a big problem.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of The Human Blueprint. I'm Angelo, and we are here with Herman today. And we have a very special topic lined up, as always. And we're going to start off today's episode with a question. And that question is, do you take things personal? So it's time to be honest with ourselves. It's okay to be honest with yourself. Leave a comment below or share your answer with us. We want to know, do you take things personal?
So let me ask you, Angelo, do you take things personal?
I do. And it's something that so if we rewind in the past, I took things very personally, even if it was a good thing or a bad thing. So got very high on compliments, very low on criticism. So, I've been working on that.
But one thing I will say is, when you're like that, does that create like a good precipice or a good recipe for the future?
No.
Continue.
So because it's not a good recipe for the future, it's been something that I've been working on. But sometimes you first told me about this, with a lot of things, sometimes the first time I hear it, I can't necessarily see it as clearly. Because a lot of times I think that we just get a little stuck in our head. But through time, I've been able to really see this within me and also see how it doesn't help me. It affects me in a negative way. And feelings get involved and things become irrational. And it's very hard to be happy or to be fulfilled or to not be stressed when you're always taking things personal. I think it affects a lot of our mental health and our ability to not judge ourselves. So that's why we want to bring this topic to light, because I've experienced it firsthand. And growing up in this generation, I think that I've seen a lot of other people that have experienced it in a similar way. And it's something that doesn't need to stay the same. You don't need to take things personal. I'm going to be the first one to tell you, because I've been there. And I've also have grown from it to not take things personal. But I'm going to be honest with myself, it's still there a little bit. And it's still something that I need to put effort towards every day to make sure I keep myself in check. So if emotions or feelings come up, I can see things more black and white and say, you know what? That's okay. I want the feedback. I want the help. I want to grow. I want to be humble. So I think that's what's helped me grow from this.
Let us know in the comments if you're watching this, listening to this. Text us, message us, DM us. Let us know. Put in the comments below. Do you take things too personal? Let us know, because I feel a lot of people do. A lot of people don't need to, but they do. Give a perfect example. When you say you take things too personal, a lot of people call that being hypersensitive, right? And when you're hypersensitive, they classify that to be almost like a snowflake. Now, for those of you who don't realize that maybe you are one of those, maybe not, but we can't be so hypersensitive to things that are going to make us better, or to things that don't go our way. We can't take things so personal that interfere with our growth. Growing up, I'll share this with you. Growing up, my entire existence and upbringing was to get that outside of my system so that you don't take things personal. Can you imagine every time you do your times tables, every time you do the lawn, every time you do something, not good enough, go do this, not good enough, do that. Because they want you to understand, don't think that you do everything perfect the first time, because I didn't. When I was in the mode or the zone or in the moment, you thought, oh, that's perfect, like it's done perfectly. Like, oh, look at those lines, oh, look at this. They'll go walk it and say, well, what about the trim here? What about this over there? What about this over here? The lines are not good on this corner. And you have to refine it and refine it, not for perfection, but to be exact in your action. So that when you got used to that, okay, you are not perfect, perfection does not exist, that, okay, there is more room for improvement for excellence, then we master that. We work on the mastery of that excellence. And I feel a lot of people, they break that. They break that connection. They break that ability to work towards excellence because their feelings were hurt. Their ego wasn't massaged. Their feelings were not lifted up because their poor little feelings down here need somehow to get up a little higher. And I feel when we take things too personal, we tend to lose out. We tend to get stuck in that for far too long. And we're not growing. We're wasting all this time, energy, resources, instead of using that and focusing to growing, creating, building. We waste it all on being stuck. And I feel that's something we got to change, Angelo.
I agree. So who wants to change it with us? Who wants to not take things personal? Life is probably so much better when you don't take things personal, right, Herman?
So a lot of people tell me all sorts of things day in, day out. Some good, some really not so good. Do I take it personal? Can you imagine all the comments, all the messages now on text, all the messages or comments left for podcasts or YouTube? If you took every single thing personal, that's like adding fuel to the fire of the house, of your little glass house, and everything just keep crumbling, makes it very, very difficult for us to rebuild. So every time something comes your way, is it necessary? Is it necessary for me to hear? Is it necessary for me to grow? Right? Is it honest and truthful? Right? So if it is, and it's hard to hear the truth, hard to hear what's necessary and honest, then we got to check ourselves and say, you know what? I needed to hear this. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you for telling me this. Thank you for giving me that. Thank you for showing me this. That's what I had to learn. And that's something that most people have not learned yet. And until you learn that, it is going to be very difficult to go from where you want to go to where it is people say that you are going to be next level or better version, that this doesn't exist until you fix the beginning. And that comes with your ability to handle criticism, your ability to hear the truth, your ability to understand what's in front of you and filter, what's necessary, are they speaking truth and honest? Are they speaking what it is I need to hear? You know what? Yes, I do need to improve that. Yes, you know what? They are right about that. But you put emotions into that and your feelings into that, and you already lost the game.
So those are some key points. What I heard is it necessary? Is it honest? And also, can you trust that person that's giving you that feedback? Because a lot of times we get feedback in many areas of our life. For me, when I made changes, I got feedback from everybody. Everybody wanted to tell me why I was doing the wrong thing, or what I needed to be careful of, or what I needed to look out for. And I couldn't trust what they were telling me because they didn't have the results that I wanted. It wasn't a good source. And so if you have that good source, you have a nice community, a supportive community, you can trust that, then really ask yourself, like, is this necessary? Is it honest? And if it checks off those, then we need to shift our approach with gratitude. So that was very well said, Herman.
Think of it like an athlete. So when we help athletes, they're bombarded. Oh, you had a crappy game. Oh, you didn't do this. Oh, you should have done that. As if everyone know how to do better if they were in the same position. So as an athlete, if you listen to every single voice, you can no longer hear yours. You can no longer trust yours. Then you can no longer perform or execute. So what do? When they lose a game, on to the next one, on to the next one. You focus on getting the next one. You focus on the bigger picture. You focus on something better. But if you just allow all the negativity, oh, you missed the last shot, oh, you screwed the whole team, and you just focus all on the negative things and like everybody else's voices versus taking, you know what, yes, I could have done better, but you know what, I learned from it. You know what, yes, I didn't do as well, but you know what, because I was tired, I needed more sleep the night before, so that's what I'm going to do every single game. You know, it's teaching you, you're learning, it's teaching, you're learning. But if you view yourself as a failure and everything you do is no good, and you put all that negativity on shelves and you put it in your shelf and you put it up here in that shelf, and that's all you look at and listen to, and you put it on replay, on repeat, that's all you're going to get. But if you're actually going to say, you know what, I got to learn. I'm going to extract what's good. I'm going to leave what's not good. I'm going to take what's necessary. I need to hear what's the truth. I need to hear it as blunt and as open as possible. And you know what? That's something that a lot of people run from, and we can no longer run from that. And that's the problem why people don't want to change, is because they only want their egos massaged.
Mm-hmm.
They only want to focus on feeling, and they become snowflake. Can't be a snowflake. You got to be stronger. You have to have thicker skin.
Yep. So I think there's a nice balance that's required in order to take that criticism and do something positive with it and not leave it stuck inside of you. And also not listening to all of the millions of outside voices that want to push something, but you know, you got to listen to that trusted source. So if you don't have a source, you need one. And that's what we're here for. So Herman, as you were like a kid and everything wasn't good enough, I feel like some people nowadays, they will look at that and be like, oh, like that's so harsh, or that's so mean. How did you take that as a kid? And I know that you're a different breed. So how did you take that growing up? And maybe what are a few thoughts or a few words to share for like this generation of maybe parents that are parenting their kids and they don't want to be too hard on them?
Most people don't understand that the very first thing you must have is something called discipline. Discipline is the bridge that takes you from an idea to the execution. Discipline is the thing that takes you from, this is the idea, this is how we're going to make the business work. A lot of people don't have that. So they have all these ideas and they live in fairyland, and it's very difficult for them to apply it, so they get stuck. And so then when they stay there for too long, then they procrastinate, they no longer trust themselves. So you have to have some form of discipline that says, if you're going to think about it, that you're going to do it, that you carry it out, that you execute it. The discipline allows you to ensure that this and this is in a good balance, that they're not in two separate areas, they're not completely severed. Discipline is when we are able to say we're going to do something, think it, that we actually do it. Discipline is saying, you know what, I'm going to take as many lessons as I possibly can while I'm still young, so I don't make the same mistakes that I see those who are much accelerated in age, that they're still grieving from their mistakes. So we have to learn to have that discipline to make sure that we create that solid foundation, and that the skin gets thicker and thicker, so that someone could say something to your face that you may interpret to be so hurtful, so disrespectful, and you don't even twitch. That's discipline.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that, as you can see, the softness is on the rise, the discipline is on the down, with currently what I see. So I think that those two things go hand in hand. You know, you have to be disciplined. So what is everybody going to do to be disciplined? I know for me, it started with a morning routine, something that I stay true to every single day, every single morning. It started out that way, and then it trickled into other areas of my life where maybe you got the morning down, then you introduce the evening, then you introduce other things. So where is everybody going to start their discipline journey?
If the problem is discipline, you look in, let's say, sports as an analogy, or you look in management and business. You have someone saying, do this, and do this. But what happens when they stop the career? What happens when they no longer play the game anymore, and they don't have someone to help guide them? This is how you can reduce body fat. This is how you can add more muscle to your frame. This is how you can become faster. This is how you can make sure you recover easier. And they don't have that. And they think they can handle their life on their own. What happens when there's nobody to hold us accountable? We tend to not hold ourselves accountable. Discipline is when we're able to hold ourselves accountable when nobody's looking.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can't do that on ourselves, we need to find someone to hold us accountable to make sure that we don't drop the ball, to make sure we're not making or fumbling. We're not falling. We have to make sure we're always on the straight and narrow, that we're always able to deliver. Can you imagine you order a package from Amazon, they make it as easy as possible. Press a button, it's going to be delivered in 1 to 2 days. Okay, you feel so great. Can't wait, can't wait, can't wait. But what happens now if they don't have a discipline or a system that says, okay, from the time it's ordered, machine goes, picks it out, gets it ready for delivery in the warehouse, someone comes, picks it up, gets it ready to go where you're located? What if it was, there's only one warehouse, and in that warehouse, nothing's labeled, and it's just stored however one person thought it should be stored, which is how a lot of your minds work. And it's just like, okay, well, we want this. Well, okay, well, now I have to go find it. Oh, have a headache. Don't know where I put it. Oh, it's difficult because, I didn't put a system into place. Very difficult. Oh, you know what? It's taking too much of my time. Can't find it. Oh, we'll leave it till later. That's how people's schedules become very, very lax. If you have discipline, it says, you know what? If this needs to be done, we do it right now. If this needs a system, we create one right now. If this needs to know how we're going to find something, we create it right now. If something needs to be tidied, we do that right now. If something needs to be cleaned, we do it right now. It's called initiative. And if you don't have the initiative, discipline will be very difficult to build because you'll always find an excuse.
Exactly. Wow. So we're bringing initiative into the conversation. That's a wonderful one. And I know that's something that I'm working on as well, to always show that initiative, to always, take proactive action. And I think that what you said about people's calendar and about like their mindset and how they approach things, like no system is set up, just trying to remember everything. That's how you just let things slip through your hands. So we need a system. We need a routine. We need a discipline. And that will really, really help everybody not take things personal. Because
Here's the thing, Angelo. Based off what you just said, I don't mean to interrupt, but take this.
Please.
Let's say there's a system in place and always has been in place, but the person doesn't listen to the system. What are you going to do?
Well, then they're not going to get those results.
Let's say Jordan's playing in the triangle, but everybody else is not playing triangle. They want to go play different offense.
Team's not going to win.
But continue.
I don't even know what I was going to say after that, but this is a good topic. I know that we talked about this actually in a past podcast. So I'm curious myself to see where that conversation led, because I think that when you have systems in place, you should always be growing. You should always be going in the right direction. And it's to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, am I at where I want to be? Do I have the results that I want? If not, how far away am I from those results? What game plan did I set up in the past? Did it work? Did it not work? And why? I think there's questions that we just need to ask ourselves in order to find clarity sometimes. Because again, if you don't have that clarity, if you don't have a system to see if you're on the right track, then a year goes by or 2 years go by or even 10 go by, and you just wonder where all the time went.
That's why you have to have humility. That's why when it was shared, you say, thank you. This is something I needed to learn. Thank you. This is something I need to get better at. Thank you for showing me this. Thank you for that. But what do most people do? Walls go up. Mm-hmm. Barricades go up. Barriers go up. Ignorance goes up. Excuses go up. Mm-hmm. Rather than be humble, they want to protect this little thing called their ego. No one gets better that way.
Exactly. I want to know, does this resonate with you? Does this topic, did you find it helpful? Leave a comment below and let us know. And also feel free to chime in if you have any questions or things that you would like an answer to or like to see addressed in, a future episode or an extension of this. I just think that this topic is in such divine timing, because we're in a time where I think everybody needs to hear it. We all need a little bit of tougher skin, especially through all of the circumstances that a lot of people are going through. This is something that will definitely help you proceed and excel in your life.
Well said.
So, Herman, do you have any words on taking things personal? Any messages that you feel would really help people or leave them with something to think about?
If you still take things personal after today, after this moment, then you need to check the ego and make sure that's not in the equation. Then, if it's not in the equation, you give yourself a chance. But if it's still in the equation, very difficult for you to overcome taking it personal. And then that's when the anger starts, blood pressure goes up, you start eating all the unhealthy things, just one vicious cycle. And you have to make some changes so that those vicious cycles are not on repeat. So let's not take things so personal. Imagine if the earth took it personal for all the oil you go and drill, for how you want to deforest it, for all the animals you want to hurt, for all the people you want to hurt. Imagine if all those things took it personal. So why is us take one little criticism or something that can be improved so personal? We need to check ourselves.
Well, for starters, the earth doesn't have an ego. The earth is humble.
It's ever given. Problem is the ego gets in play because you don't want to ever give. You want to ever take. So that's a big problem.
When you guys watch this podcast, do you ever have those moments where it's just like mind blown? Because I want to know if you have those moments, because I do. So leave a comment below and let us know. And I'm just curious to know like what your feedback is, what your thoughts are, if you're taking things personal, and what you're going to do about it. Because again, I think what Herman said is it is a choice. It's our choice. And after this episode, we can choose if we want to take things personal or if we don't. But sometimes I think the ego is a little tricky, because if you have one, maybe you have multiple, then don't those lie to you? Are they sometimes hard to identify within oneself?
And that's why you need third-party help. You need an outside source to help identify these things, because we're so used to certain things or see things only our way, it's hard to see how things are in a more equilibrium.
That's the truth. So if you need any support or help, please reach out. You can text Herman, 818-928-3639. You can comment below, DM, message. I mean, we're super easy to get in contact with, and we just want to help everybody. So please feel free to reach out if you need that extra support or help.
And there might be a link down below with a special surprise, what we have coming up next week. You may want to click it, you may not. It's up to you. So if you're into initiative, find the link below.
Go ahead. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. We will see you on more episodes, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.